Alright, I'm going to be doing a solo playthrough of, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce this game, Gugong. It was originally titled The Forbidden City, and then they had to change the name due to some copyright stuff. I have the game set up currently for a solo play. I will be playing the yellow player, and then the Automa player is Meng, and he is the red player. Um, if you do a solo game of this, you will need pieces from a third player. So I'm going to be using the blue pieces for Ming to track his shipping, what he's gathered in his with his shipping routes. Um, I think that's what it's called. Um, his workers don't get eaten up by that. Additionally, the travel tokens are all the base travel tokens. The bonus travel tokens are not used, so I had to pull those out. I still randomly chose 2 decrees of each level and set those out. I rolled the destiny dice up there to start off with, and then the additional thing that happens for Ming at setup rather is the 7 starting cards here get randomly shuffled, and then you reveal one. I revealed the 3. Then you shuffle them again, and then you place them out on the board. And wherever that card that you initially revealed shows up, you put Ming's double worker to sort of, it's going to be his focus throughout the game, is on this, wherever this initial card comes out. So he's going to be focused on getting up the palace steps. And we'll get to that when it gets to his turn. This is my first play of this game, so I will be referencing the rules quite a bit, and there will probably be a little bit of downtime as I look things up. I think I've got everything set up. Ming starts with his own deck. There is a chart in the rulebook that tells you, you as a starting player, so you have your starting deck of 4 cards, and if you'll notice there in the top right, I've chosen the, I guess what we could call set 1, and it has the first little piece of the fan filled in there. There's a chart in the book, or in the rule book, that says, you know, if you start off with the set 1 cards, then Ming starts off with set 2 cards. So he has his set 2 cards here. But the chart, you know, if I would start off with level 3 or set 3, he would start off with, you know, what set it dictates what set he sets off, or he starts off with. And then this is the Automa deck. This is basically going to be flipped over 1 card on his turn, and it's going to determine which location he's going to go to that round, on his turn, which card he's going to do the exchange. We'll get to that when we get there. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started. I guess the premise of the game is we are trying to gain favor with the Emperor. In order to even have a chance at winning the game, you have to get your, I forget what they call these, diplomats maybe, all the way up to the top of the track in the palace and get it into the palace. And you do this, or you're going to take actions on your turn by trading the cards you have in your hand. You're going to choose 1 card and you're going to trade it for one of the other cards out on the table. If the card you trade out of your hand has a higher value than the card that's on the board, then there's no penalty. If it's a lower number, there is a penalty, and you're either going to have to discard a second card into your discard pile, which goes on your board, which means you're going to get 1 fewer action that round, or you can pay an additional worker. Is it 1 or 2? I gotta look that up. It is 2. So you would have to discard 2 of your servants from the servant pool in order to take the action. Now you can always... no, wait a minute. Right. You can always just exchange without taking the action. So I could exchange, I could put a 4 down here, since this is a 5. I can put a 4 down here and not discard an additional card and not pay 2 servants. I just won't be able to take any of the actions. It's going to be a waste of my turn, essentially. But maybe I have a card, or I have a plan where I can't give up any workers, and that's what I have to do at the moment. Additionally, after you play a card, there may be a little symbol in the little paper area down there in the bottom left. That is the action on the card. So when you play that, again, if you do the 2, if it's higher, then there's no penalty. Otherwise, you have to pay your penalty, and then you take the action that's on the card, and then you can take the action that's on the actual spot where you swap the cards out. So the action on the card, for instance, that's a little that's the symbol there for the temple. I can get that to autofocus a little bit. There we go. So that's the symbol that's sitting right there. So I would be able to take the temple action first, and then if I swapped it out somewhere else, or if I swapped it out here, I could take the temple action twice. So, all right, the decrees. This decree here, this is a level 1 decree. It basically says that in the morning phase, I get to progress one of my diplomat here 1 spot on the track at the start of each round. There's going to be 4 rounds, so this is going to give me basically 3 additional spots up the track, which might be helpful. This one here says in the morning phase, I will increase my intrigue 2 spots. So the intrigue track is here, and I'm going to go around the intrigue track as the game goes forward. The intrigue track essentially breaks ties. So right now my piece is on the bottom with Meng's piece on top. So if me and Meng were ever tied at the moment, he's going to win because he's on top. If I were higher on the track, then obviously I'd break the tie, or I'd win the tie. Alright, so let me look at these other tiles here real quick, because I'm not entirely sure what each of them do. Let's see here. So this tile here says I would immediately score 4 victory points, which is the number here. So if I go here, I get 2 and 3. And then whenever I perform the decrees action, I may remove 1 fewer servant than indicated. So if I were to go back here to do this decrees action, so for instance, let's say I had a guy here. I had already, or no, let's say Meng, or say blue player's playing. Blue player has a guy here. Alright, so he's already gone to this decree once. So what's it going to cost me to go to this decree? The number in the bottom left is the number of workers you're going to have to spend. So I'm going to have to spend 2 workers, and then in addition to that, I have to spend 1 worker for every other worker that's already gone to that decree. So I would have to spend 2 plus 1 for the blue guy since he's already there. So I'd have to spend 3. But if I already have a guy here, let's say I've already gotten this decree and I was going to go up here, this would be the same. Let's say blue was up here as well. But I had already gone to this decree, which says I have a -1 requirement when taking the decrees action. I would spend 2, and then +1 for the blue guy that's there, but then -1 for the requirement. So that's how that works. That's probably, when I was reading through the rules, this is one of the most, it's not really confusing, it just takes a minute to wrap your head around it. how that works. I gotta put out the jade on the houses here. Forgot about that. Alright. This is the Great Wall action, and I believe that allows me to put an additional... yes, you place an extra servant from the general supply on the wall. So if I were to go there, I'd be able to, whenever I take a Great Wall action and put a servant or multiple servants out, I'd put an additional servant from the general supply, which is not my pool on the board. Let's see here. Next tiles. This tile down here says at the end of the game I score 2 victory points for each servant next to the harbor rewards. So as I get the harbor rewards and I go through the track down here, I'm going to be collecting the rewards, and I can get the 4 victory point one 3 times. I can get the 2 additional cards 2 times, and then I can get my double servant once. So for each guy I have out here, it's going to be worth 2 victory points for me at the end of the game. The one right above it says I get 2 victory points for each of my servants that are already out on the decrees here. So those victory point symbols have like a purple background, and anytime you see the purple background, that means they score at the end of the game only. And then if it has the red background, they score immediately as you put them out. All right, so let me figure out what I want to do here. The Destiny, I probably need to talk about the Destiny dice real quick as well. Destiny dice up there are 1, 5, and 8. So at the end of the round, once me and Meng have played all our cards, we're going to go through our discards, and if we have any number that matches that, we're going to get additional workers for the next round. I think there might be some other bonus as well. But I'll get to that. Yeah, I get 1 additional. Oh, it's right up there on the board. I got 1 additional one additional worker per card I match there. And right now, I have a 5 in my hand, but that's the only thing that I have that matches that. But I might want to think about... So the 1's out there on the board, and there's another 5 right there. I think what I might want to do... One, 5, and 8. Alright, so here's what I'm going to go for. I'm going to take my 2 card here, and it has a Great Wall action on it, so I'm going to swap it out up here for the Great Wall. So it was higher than the 1 that was there. Here's the card that was on the Great Wall initially. That's going to go into my discard. So since that 2 was higher than the 1, there's no penalty, so I don't have to worry about paying extra workers. So now I have the ability to take the action that's on the card that I just played, which is a Great Wall action. So I'm basically going to be able to play, or going to take the Great Wall action twice. So what I'm going to do is the first action, so I have 2 options. I can just, for free, just take 1 worker out of my pool and place it on the Great Wall, which is what I'm doing. And then that's the action for the card. And now I get to take the action of the spot where I played, the location I actually played the card, which is the Great Wall again. So this time I think I will discard, get rid of one of my workers to place 2 workers down. And I will put them, I'll lay these down like this, 1 and 2. So now I've got 3 guys on the Great Wall here. For 1 and 2 players, this is the max here, so it's 4. So 1 more player goes out there, and then we do a scoring run for the Great Wall. Alright, so that was my turn. Now for Meng, I'm going to go back here. We reveal the top card of his Automa deck, and there it is. If I can get it to focus. There we go. Alright, so he's going to be doing a card at the Great Wall. That's lucky for me. So, and the top card, the card that he's swapping, is the 4. Now, since he's an Automa player, he does not have any restrictions on numbers, so he can play a number lower, and he still gets to take both actions. So he gets to take the harbor action. So what does he do for the harbor action on that card to start with? Grand Canal. Sorry, that's what it's called. Meng places 1 servant on an existing ship, if available, or starts a new ship if not. Meng will not manually move his ships, but they will advance during the night phase. So, we get a ship here from Meng, and we grab one of his workers, and he is going to start at any port. So there's 2 starting spots. No, there's not. There's only 1. That's the okay 1 to 3 player. I see. I guess on the other side of the board, it's a 4 to 5 player game board, and it's got, I think, 2 separate tracks. So we got 1 track here. He's going to start here, and he's got 1 guy out on his ship. So that's the harbor, the Grand Canal action, and then he can take the location action. Now he always takes they call this the top action is the action A, and the bottom action is action B, is how they refer to it in the rule book. So he always takes the top action during the day phase, and there's a sort of an intermediate phase between the day and the night phase called the twilight phase that only he takes part of, where he actually does go back and take these actions if he can afford his 2 workers. So he's going to put a worker out on the Great Wall. Now the Great Wall is finished, so it scores immediately. And the scoring for the Great Wall, player with the most servants on the Great Wall receives 3 victory points and moves their envoy 1 step on the palace track. So that's me. So I've got 3 guys. So I get 3 victory points. 1, 2, 3. And then my guy goes up 1 on the palace track. And then the player that scored that returns all their servants from the wall to the general supply. Fill up empty spaces by sliding to the left. Then players may receive intrigue benefits. So, all my guys come back and go into my general supply. He stays there and slides down. And now intrigue benefits. Now, none of us have intrigue, but I want to see what Meng would do if he had. So if Meng had intrigue, he first goes for the jade, which means he would have to, so here it is, intrigue benefits. If he was up here on the spot 7, on the intrigue track, he could spend all 7 of those intrigue and get a jade. So that's what he's going to do first. If he doesn't have that option, he takes a single servant, which only costs 1. And he has an available servant in his general supply, which at the moment he has plenty of. But since neither of us have intrigue, that does not matter. Alright, so and now it's back to me. I have a 4, 5, and a 9. 1. I can go there. I can go here to get that 5 for the Destiny dice up there. But I might have should have done that before I did anything up at the wall. That way I could have spent the intrigue. Or I could do a harbor action. I'm going to be relegated here pretty quick to what's that allow me to do? Spend that number to get a jade. That allows me to move that guy around. This allows me to move my guy forward. Alright, I don't know if this is a good idea. I'm gonna swap out the 6 for the 9 here at the decrees section. So the 6 goes into my discard pile. There's no action down here on the 9, so I can't. I don't get a card action, but I can do this. So I'm going to use this. On what it says here is I have to spend. It's going to cost me 1 worker, so that's going to go back into my supply, and then I'm going to put a worker down here to indicate I have this, and this allows me at the beginning of all the morning phases, I increase my guy on the palace track by 1. All right, so that's my turn. Now let's go back here to Meng, and he is now going to take the travel action at the top of the card there. So that's going to go there, and he's going to be swapping out a 2 up here for the travel action. It's going to go on his discard pile. And he always starts down here, so we're going to move his guy over here. Well, actually, first, before I do that, he takes the card action, which is this action. So he is going to move his guy 1 on the influence track, and then he's going to actually get the next first player marker. So we'll put that there for him. And then he gets to travel, so he's going to travel and he's going to start here, and he gets this. And this basically says he can put 1 worker down for free onto the Great Wall track, which I believe he will do. And then this gets turned over to go up here. And how this works is, once you get 2 of those up here, you can turn 2 in for an extra worker, 4 in for 2 victory points, or 6 in for a piece of jade. Let me see. Let me make sure he does take those travel actions as he gets them. Yes. Okay. So now it's back to me. I have a 4 and a 5. A 4 and a 5. All right. I think I believe I'm going to take the travel action as well, so I'm swapping out a 4 for a 2 here. The action on the card is the palace action, and so I'm going to move my guy up 1 more on the palace track, and then I get to take the travel action, and I basically get to choose where I start, and I'm going to start here. And this has a 2 workers on it, so I get 2 workers from the general supply, or from my general supply rather, and they come out here on my board, and that's me. And we go back to Meng. He has the Jade action there, or the Jade thing is where he's taking his action, and he has an 8, so he swaps that out for the 2, and that goes on his discards. There is no special action on the card for the 8, and he will take the Jade action. Let me see how he buys the cheapest available Jade. So how this works is the cheapest available Jade, 1 piece of Jade is for 2 workers. Then once these 2 are gone, 3 workers for a piece of Jade. Those are gone, 4 pieces, and then 5 workers for the Jade in the huge supply here. That's really expensive. These only score at the end of the game. So he's going to get rid of his two of his workers for a piece of Jade. And I'll just stick that there. And then it's back to me. I have a 5, so my options are pretty limited. And I could take the travel action again, and then I could either go here to spend three of my workers for a Jade. I could go here and get another worker, or I can go there and move my guy up 1 more on the track. I think what I might do, I mean, I can go here and move my guy up on the track as well. I think I'll just go back here. Yeah. I'll go back here to the travel action again. That's into my discard pile. No action on the card. I'm moving my guy, and he's coming down here. I'm getting the additional servant, and that's going to go there. So I get another servant, and then I'm going to spend these 2, discard those, to get 1 more servant. So I'm up to 4 servants, and I'm going to be getting 4 more, plus maybe additional ones at the start of the next turn. So then we're back to Meng, and he is going to take his wherever his guy's at, his double action there. So that's the palace. So he's going to swap out 7 for the 3. There is no action on the card, but he is going to move his guy up on the track 1. And now, that's the end of the day phase. So we go to the twilight phase. We go to the discard pile for the Automa cards. Face down. So they go back being face down again. One at a time, reveal each Automa card and take the bottom twilight action, provided that Meng has enough servants. Okay. If he doesn't have enough servants or can't meet the requirements, that card is skipped and go to the next one. Okay, perfect. Alright, so we'll start this off. So here's the first Automa card. So for that location, what he's going to do, so at the Great Wall, he's going to spend a guy to put a guy down. So we can't spend a guy and put a guy down, so he's not going to take this. This one says he'd have to spend 2 of his guys to move his traveler 1 spot, which he can't because he only has 1. So he skips that one. This one says he just moves his guy 1. So we can take that action, and he follows a certain path, and his path takes him up here to this one that says he can put a guy down on one of his ships in the Grand Canal. So that's going to go up here. He will take this guy off here and put it on his boat he has going on down here. Okay. So regarding the the travel tokens as he gets them, basically if he has to take an action, he doesn't have enough servants, but he has enough tokens to spend for a servant, he can do that immediately. And then if he ever gets 6, he immediately turns it in for a piece of jade. So the last action here is to move his traveler guy one more. And he travels up here, which causes him to go up 1 on the Intrigue track, and then that goes there. And Twilight phase has completed. These essentially get set aside for day 1. Each one has a discard pile. Now we go to the night phase. So let me go over here. Day phase. Night phase. Check destiny values. All players simultaneously check whether the value on the gift cards in the discard pile matches any of on the destiny dice. So let's go look here at my here's the cards that are in my discard pile, and these are the cards that I'm going to start the next round with. So I need a 1, 5, or an 8. I have a 1. So that means that I get 1 servant from the supply for that per card I match. So I'm up to 5 servants now. He's always Meng. So for day 1, Meng has 1 match automatically. So he's going to get 1 servant. And then on day 2, he has 2 matches. Day 3, he has 3, etc. Regardless of what cards he actually has. And then whoever had the most matches would get 3 victory points plus get to move their guy 1 more. But we have a tie, and the tiebreaker is the Intrigue track. So he's up on the Intrigue track higher than I am. So he gets 3 victory points. 1, 2, 3. And then he gets to advance his guy 1. And then I believe the last thing we do is we move all ships. So his ship floats down the river to here. And then we go back to the morning phase. So first thing we do is he's the next player for the first, so this, or for the first player for the next round, so this goes back onto the board and he gets the start player token. Then we refill the map. So we have a token missing here, and we'll put 1 there, and then we have 1 here and here. Then we re-roll the destiny dice. So we got a 2, a 4, and a 9. Then we do the decrees, and I have a decree. So every morning, my guy goes up 1 on the track, on the Emperor or the Palace track there. Then we receive new servants. I forgot to put out the round marker. Let me get that out of the box here real quick. So we were at round 1. Now we're at round 2. We each get 4 servants. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 for Meng, and then I get 4 as well. Okay. And then we begin the morning phase again. So I will take his discard cards, shuffle them up, and set them back here. And he's the first player. So now he reveal an Automa card. He's going to take wherever his double guy is. So he's going to take the action here at the palace. So 7 goes into his discards. He puts down a 2. He can take the Great Wall action, which he will. He will put a guy down here for free. And then he will take the palace action, which will move his guy up on the track 1. Now it's my turn. I have a 1, 2, 4, and a 6, and 2, 4, and 9s. So I need to match. I need to try to get 3 matches. I kind of screwed that up the first round and allowed him to win that tie. So I need to I need to get cards for the Destiny dice, but I also need to actually make progress on doing other things here too. So let's see. Well, a 2 is there, a 4 is there. I could complete that, but I'm not going to be able to take anything here. I could take this, get the first player back, get a worker. I think I will do that. So here's what I'm going to do. I think this is a good play for me. I'm going to go to the Intrigue track here. I'm going to replace the 5 with a 6. I get a worker. And then I get to take the action here. So I have 2 options. I can move my guy up here 1 on the track and take the next first player token, or I can pay a guy to move my thing up here on the track 3. I think I'm going to do that. So I think I'm going to get rid of a guy to go 1, 2, 3. But I don't get to take this. I do not believe. Let me double check that, but I'm pretty sure I do not get to take that for the Intrigue track. Correct. Alright. So now, back to Meng, and he's going to take the palace action. Why this thing isn't focusing. There we go. Take the palace action, and he's just going to swap out a 2 for a 3 here. Oh, sorry about that. There we go. So now this symbol on this 3 means he can swap out a card for another card that's already on the board. And I believe instead of doing that, he just gets 1 victory point. Yes. He gets 1 victory point instead. So he's now up here at 4. And then he gets to advance his guy 1 more on the track. So now back to me. I've got a 1, 2, and a 4. A 1, 2, and a 4. So you might be wondering, what could the 1 beat? A 1 will beat a 9. So I could go here. my only other option is to go there, but I'm gonna do the 1 on the 9. So the 9 goes into my discards. Now I can take the the Kree location action because it's on the card, so I'm basically gonna be able to take it twice. So I think what I'm gonna do is try to get a combo going here. I'm gonna spend 1 of my guys to put 1 out on this one, which says that in the morning I get to increase myself up the intrigue tracker by 2, and then I'm going to spend 2 of my guys and then put 1 out up here, which says I get whenever I take the Great Wall action, I get to place an additional guy, and he comes out of, I don't think he comes out of my pool. I think he comes out of the general supply. Yes. So I don't have to have him on the board. He can just come out of my tray. So I got 2 victory points for that one and 3 victory points for that one, so that gives me 5. It puts me up to 8. And now it's Meng's turn, and he is taking the intrigue track action. He is going to swap out the 6 for the 2, and he takes the top action, which says he moves up 1, so he's tied for me. He's actually leading because he's on top now, and he takes this so that I can't get it. And it's back to me. Can I do a 4 for a 4? What happens if they're tied? Let's check that out. Lower or equal to takes the penalty. Lower or equal to takes the penalty. Well, I think I'll go to the intrigue track here for the 2. I will take the action on the palace track to move my guy up 1. And where do I want to do? Yeah, just 1. I don't want to spend 2. And then I will I'll spend an extra guy, or I'll spend a guy to move up 3 on the intrigue track. 1, 2, 3. And then it's Ming's turn, and he is going to be taking the travel action, and he's going to be swapping out a 4 for a 5. Doesn't really help me out any. And he gets to take the action at the palace, which is 1, and then he gets to take the travel action where he moves 1 more on the track here, and he gets to put a guy down onto the thing here from his general supply, and then that gets flipped over to the Great Wall rather. That gets flipped over for there, and it's back to me. I'm last. I have a 2, so I can. The only option I have without paying the penalty is to take this for a 1, but I don't really know. It's not going to benefit me any. could just swap one of these out and I think that's what I'm going to do without taking the action. And I think what I will do, 2, 4, and a 9. I think I'll swap out here at the Great Wall. Oh, sorry. Before we do that, he did the Great Wall here, so he gets all these go back to his general supply. He gets 3 victory points. 1, 2, 3. He gets to move his guy up 1 on the track. And then everybody else, well, actually, nobody else does because nobody else is on here. So I don't get to take an intrigue action. So it's back to me. But I'm going to do this. I'm going to swap it out here for 4. Take the 4. I'm not going to pay the penalty. I like having my 3 extra workers here. I don't have a card to discard, and I'm not going to pay the penalty, so I just don't take any action. We'll see if that's a benefit to me or not. So back to the Twilight again. Get these flipped back over, and he's going to move his guy 1 more on the board. His travel marker goes over to here, and now this says you can discard a 7 or higher card and pick up a Jade. Now he obviously can't do that, so let's see what he does for these special travel tokens here. Which discards a gift card to receive Jade. He discards his top gift card and takes the Jade. If this happens in the Twilight phase, Meng doesn't take a Jade and gains 1 victory point instead. So he goes up 1 on the victory point tracker. It's tied with me, and then this goes over here. And the next action, he can pay 2 workers to move one of his guys, to move his guy 1 up on the palace track and 1 on the intrigue track. So he pays 2 guys to go 1 up here and then 1 up here. And he pays 1 guy to move up on the intrigue track 2 times. So he pays 1 guy on the intrigue track 1, 2. So now he's beaten me for ties. And then this one is he pays 2 guys to move his guy 1. Now he only has 1. However, he has 2 that he can spend here. So he's going to spend 2 of these to get a worker. And then he has 2 guys which he can then spend to move this guy on the track over to here, which says he could swap out 1 card for any card on the board, which he can't do. And I'm assuming he's going to get a victory point, but let's see. Yes, he gains a victory point. So now he's up to 9. Now we go to the night phase, where we look at the destiny dice. So we want 2 4s and 9s. I have a 2, 4, and a 9, so I get 3. So that means I get 3 workers. Come on. Meng, we don't look at his cards. We're on day 2, so he gets 2. So he has 2 workers. Now I had the max, so I had 3. He only had 2. So for doing that, I get 3 victory points. I get 1, 2, 3. And then I get to move my guy up 1 on the track. And then all ships move 1 spot. Floats there. And then we go back to the morning phase. And the first thing we do is this. So this just comes back. He's already first player. We reseed anything that was out here. So we'll put out these. Then we re-roll the destiny dice. We got a 3, a 3, and a 4. We check decrees. So my decree is my guy moves up 1, and then I move up 2 on the intrigue track. For this one only affects me if I put guys onto the Great Wall. And then we get workers equal to the current level day, which is going to be day 3. So we each get 4 workers. So 1, 2, 3, and I've only got 3 workers left. 1, 2, 3. So the game actually comes with 14 workers, but you only use 12 of them in when you play a game. They basically give you 2 extra of each color. So I have 2 guys left in my tray, which allows me to know that I've got, between the 3 out here and these guys, I've got 12. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So what do? We shuffle his discards up. We're on day 3. And he's first player. So let's reveal a card here. He's going to take the Jade action. And he's going to swap out 5 for the 8. And we need 3s and 4s. So a 5, he pays 2 workers for the lowest Jade, which is here. So he got that. And now it's my turn. And I have a 2, a 4, a 5, and a 9. A 2, a 4, a 5, and a 9. Alright, I need to start thinking endgame here, getting some victory points. I think there's a requirement to get to the very end of the palace track. I want to look at that real quick. When you progress to the 8th and final step of the track, you've reached the Palace of Heavenly Purity. Place your envoy on the location with the highest available victory points, which you'll score at the end of the game. Once your envoy has reached the palace, any action that would cause you to move further up on the palace track gives you 1 victory point instead. There is no requirement to get in. I thought there was. Okay. Well, so that's one way I could get, if I can get up there, that is. Which I'd have to go there. I could spend 2 guys. I might, and that'll move me 2. Yeah, that might work for me. But now what do I want to do? Do I want to go... Yeah, I might as well... Yeah. Try to combo some of this stuff. Alright, so I'm going to go here. I'm going to place the 5, or the 3, or put the 5 down in place of the 3. No penalty. Great Wall action, which I will take, and I will spend an extra guy to put out 2 guys. So I'm going to put out 2 of my guys here. Now, because I have this decree over here that says whenever I put a guy out whenever I take the Great Wall action, I put an additional guy from my supply. So the guy I just spent to do that with actually comes out here and helps me out. Now, here, I'm going to spend 2 guys to move my guy up on the track twice. 1, 2, puts me here, and I go to 7. And then I move my Intrigue marker up 1. So now we go back to Meng. And Meng is going to be taking the Grand Canal action. And he's swapping out a 2 for a 7. 7 goes in the discards. He can take the Great Wall action, which he will. He will take a guy and put it here. Just like before, I have the most guys, so my guys all come off and go back into my supply. He slides all the way down. I get 3 victory points. 1, 2, 3. I move my guy up on the track. I can't. I'm at the max, so I get a victory point instead. And then he would take an Intrigue action. So remember, he only does either the 7, which he doesn't have, he only has 6, so instead he does the 1 for 1. So he would move 1 and get 1 worker back. I think it's the 1 for 1. Single servant. Yep. So he only ever does the single servant. Okay. So now it's back to me. 2, a 4, or a 9. I picked that 3. Was that a 3 I picked up? Yeah, so that's good. 4. Two victory points. Or I can spend 3 guys for a jade. There's no more 3s out there at the moment. Go here. I think I might. But I could do that with a 4. Take a double that action. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna go here to the harbor. The 4 for a 2. I take a harbor action, so I'm gonna take one of my ships. I'm gonna put it out here, and I'm gonna put one of my guys on it. Then I'm going to take it again to put out another one of my workers and move it down 1 step. Actually, I don't know if that... yeah, it will. It'll help me. I think it'll be good. Alright. Back to Meng. He's going to take the decree action. And he's swapping out the 1 for the 7. Now, what does he do for the decree action? Decrees. He will select one according to the following rules. When taking the decree action on any particular day, he will attempt to obtain a decree at the same level as the current day. He will try to obtain a level 3 decree on days 3 and 4. Okay, so it is currently day 3, so he'll try to take a 3. When choosing between 2 available decrees at the same level, he obtains the cheaper one, where the human player is not present. If both or any are unoccupied, he will obtain the bottom one. So he's going to take this one down here. And he can afford it. It costs him 3. So that's going to be his 3 guys here, and then he puts 1 guy down here. And this basically is going to score him 2 victory points at the end of the game for each of the canal things he's purchased, which right now is none. So that's not really helping him. Alright. So it's back to me. Alright, so he's out of his Automa deck, so we take the previous days, not the current days, but the previous days. And if we shuffle them back up, and to create another deck. So I've got a 2 and a 9. A 2 and a 9. So here's what I'm going to do. He took the 1 with him. So what do I want? I want a 4, basically. I think I'm going to have to do this. I think I'm going to have to go up here, swapping the 2 for the 4. The penalty I'm going to pay is I'm going to discard my 9. So I can still take the actions. So I take the harbor action, which I'm going to take 1 guy, put it on here, move this 1 so that it would come to here, but it can't because he's there, so it goes to the next one. And now, since I have 3 guys here, I can complete this action. Make sure I did that right. Okay. So what happens is 1 guy goes away, and it's my double worker guy, so he gets placed there to indicate I'm taking this, and this guy goes into my supply. My other 2 guys go back into my general supply, or he goes into my pool. My other 2 guys go to the general supply. My ship just comes back, and so that's that action. Now travel, and I'm going to travel here to get 2 victory points immediately. 1, 2. And now it's back to Meng, who has 1 more action left to go. And he's taking the, wherever he has his double action, which is here at the palace, he's swapping that out for the 5 and the 6. His guy's going to move up 1, and he'll take the 5 spot. First he's first he's going to get a worker for the card he played, and then he takes that action. And then my turn is over because I've used all my cards. So we move to the twilight phase, where he is going to go through his deck here. So let's see here. First, we're going to move his traveler up 1 on the track, and he's going to travel over here, which causes his Diplomat, or whatever you want to call him, to move 1 up on the track. He can't, so he gets a victory point instead. Next one. He spends 1 to put 1 down on a ship. Now, he only has 1, but he can spend 2 of these to get 1 more. And now he can spend 1 to put 1 on a ship. Now his ship is here. Let me see what he actually does for that reward, because I don't think he can take that reward. Meng ships automatically claim a reward once they host 3 servants, regardless of his current harbor. He will receive an additional card for his first and second reward, or only the first time if Meng started with the game with 5 cards, or 4 victory points for all subsequent rewards. You will receive an additional card for his first and second reward. So, all of these go back into his general supply. His ship comes back. He currently gets 1 card, but since it's his first reward, he actually gets 2 cards. So he gets 2 cards off the top of the spare deck here. Ooh, that's already scratched. And that's going to go into his deck here. Or onto his discard, I guess, really. Now, blue player, he gets placed 1 over here to indicate he took that action. Actually, he took this one. Now, we go to the next one. And it's to move his traveler 1 more on the track. He goes over here, and he gets an additional card. Hold on, that doesn't seem right. The additional card. Which no, this was discovered. This recovers a discarded gift card. He recovers the top one of his discard pile and adds it to his remaining gift cards to play this day. If this happens in the twilight phase, he doesn't recover a gift card and instead gains 1 victory point. And then he goes up. Oops. He goes up 1 more on the movement track, which goes here, which gives him 2 victory points. And we go to night phase, so we check our cards. I have a 3 and a 4. So I basically have, I'm going to score the 3 twice and the 4 once. So I'm going to get 3 servants. 2, 3. Let me check and make sure I was supposed to get that double servant immediately. Yep, it goes on the player board. Alright. We're in day 3, so Meng does 3. So he gets 3 servants. 2, 3. Now we tied. I had 3 and he had 3. So we go to the Intrigue track, and I'm higher on the Intrigue track, so I get that. And I get 3 victory points for that. I get 1, 2, 3. And my guy moves up on this track once, but he can't, so he gets 1 more victory point. And then all ships move 1 on the route, which there are none. And then we go back to morning phase. And morning phase is we would switch first player, but nobody took the token. This gets all reseeded. We re-roll the destiny dice. We have a 5, a 6, and an 8. We go to the decrees. My guy goes up 1 on the track. He can't. I get a victory point. My influence goes up 2. 1, 2. And this is only for him for scoring, and this only happens when the guys come out here. We are up on round 4, so we each get 4 guys. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we start first phase, which is him, and I take his deck, give it a shuffle. Now he has 2 extra cards, which means he's actually going to get 5 actions this round. Or 6 actions, rather. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Alright, so he's first. He's going to take his double guy action. So he's swapping out a 6 for a 7. And he moves up 1. He can't. He gets a victory point. Now it's to me. I have a 2, 3, 4, and a 9. I've got really low cards. But I know he has a 1, so I'm going to hold on to that too. I can get rid of that too, which I think I might do. With a 3. Or I can move that. Alright. I'm going to go here. Jade Temple. 9 for the 5. No action. I'm going to discard 3 guys to get a piece of jade. Now it's to Meng. And we're taking the track action. The palace action, rather. And he's going to swap out a 1 for a 7, so that's where that 1's going. And he moves up 1, or rather, oh wait a minute, I should have, he would have taken the Intrigue track this last time. Alright, let me back up. So he moves 1, and then he would get this. From when this was over here. And then he just traded this in, and now he takes the decree action, so it goes over here. He's in Dana 3 and 4. He can't take this, he has to take this. He has to spend 3 guys to put 1 guy out here. Then he moves up here, he can't, he goes up 1. Back to me. Don't think I'm going to win this game. I got to do this now, I think. I'm going to swap here for the 1. I take the Great Wall action. I'll just take it and put 1 guy out. And whenever I put a guy out, I get another guy out from my supply. You know what? I'm going to spend an extra guy to get another one out there. So to take this bottom action the first time. So that'd fill me up. I win again. This all goes to my general supply. I get 3 victory points. 1, 2, 3. I move my guy up 1. I can't. I go up 1 more. Anybody else gets to take a Intrigue action, which he does not have 7, so he takes 1 to get an extra worker. And then, back here, I will spend... where am I going next? I'll just move 1. I can't. I get a victory point. Alright, back to him. He's going to take the travel action. He's swapping out the 2 for the 5. And he takes a Great Wall action, so he puts 1 guy out on the Great Wall. And then he moves his Traveler 1, which goes here. And this is basically, it's a picture of the symbol times 2. He basically, this scores us twice. So he's going to spend 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plus the 1 that was double to get another piece of jade. I gotta stop him from getting jade. Or I need some more jade. Alright, so then it's back to me. I've got a 4 and a 3. Maybe I don't have to stop him from getting jade. How does the, let me just see how the double worker works for the Great Wall. Oh, all players may choose, not just... Alright, well, let me back up then. So when we do the Intrigue, anybody who was on here before it was scored gets to take the Intrigue action. So the last time, I would have taken the Intrigue action and gotten rid of 7 of my guys. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to get a piece of jade. Alright, so now, how do double workers work? There's a symbol there that says 1 equals double worker, but I don't understand how that works. Double servant, Great Wall. Whenever you place 1 servant on the Great Wall or a ship, you may place your double servant occupying 2 spaces. Okay. So what I could do take a risk is what I can do. A big risk. What is that? Let's see what this how this trade works here. Exchange 1 card from your hand or discard pile with a card on the game board. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going here. 3 for the 2. It says exchange either from in my hand or from my discard pile. I will discard the 1 here for the 5. So that's that action. Then this action down here, I'm spending 2 of my guys to move my guy twice. He can't, so he gets 2 victory points. 1, 2. And then I move myself up once on the Intrigue track, which puts me there. And now, it's Meng's turn. And he takes the... Of course he takes the Intrigue action. So, he's going to swap the 4 with an 8. Oops. And he moves himself up 1 on the track, puts him at 6. And he takes the first player token, which should have come back, but it goes back to... Or maybe he already did that. I don't know. I can't remember. So now it's back to me. Now I gotta figure out... He's going to score that, but I can get another piece of jade. I was hoping to keep him below me here, take this 4 and exchange it here at the Great Wall so I could win this with the tie, because we both have 2. But now I'm rethinking my... I'm rethinking what I want to do. Move myself twice. One gives me another guy. 2 allows me to put a guy from the supply down on board, which it's not going to help me any. Or I could go there, which allows me to move him up 1, and then put a guy on there, which could be my double worker. Can't get a piece of jade. Could, though. However, let's see here. I got 2 5s and a 2. And that's going to put him at 4 as well, though. Or, no. And he's still going to win the tie. Yes. That's not going to help me any. I'm basically just trying to figure out how I can get the most victory points. But I don't think it's really going to help me any here. I guess what's going to give me the most is this. Going here, taking the 3, so I can take this action. I'm going to spend my double worker as my 2 guys, and that's going to allow me to move up twice. I can't, so I get 2 victory points. 1, 2, and my intrigue goes up 1. And then the action of where I placed it was going to be here, which he can't move up 1. I move up 1 on victory points. Now, it's back to him. He takes a jade action. Swapping out a 6 for a 9. He takes this action from the card. He can't. He goes up 1 victory point. And then he spends 3 workers, which he can, to get another piece of jade. And then I'm done. He has 1 more action left. It's the travel action. So he swaps the 1 for the 5. He takes the intrigue action, which allows him to move up 1 on the track. And then he takes a travel action, which moves him here. He gets this. It's worth 2. And it just kind of sits separate there. And then that's it. So we go to the twilight phase, where we flip all these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so he's going to take the movement action, which he moves over here. He pays 3 for 1 jade. He cannot do that. He can pay 2 to get 1 worker. Let's see what happens when he gets that. No special cases. So, what I think would happen is, he's going to spend. So right now he's going to have basically 4. So he's going to spend all 4 of these to get 2 workers. And then we'll see what happens next. He spends 2 workers to move his guy 1 and then 1 on the intrigue track, which he can do. So he spends his 2 workers he got, 1 up on the intrigue track, which gives him 1 victory point, or the palace track, which gives him 1 victory point, and then 1 up on the intrigue track. Spend 2 to move his guy on the traveler. He can't. He has no workers. Spend 1 guy to move up on the intrigue track twice. He can. He has no workers. Spend 2 guys. Or just, no, I'm sorry, 2 guys. What am I thinking? Move his guy on the traveler once, which puts him over here, which pushes his guy up 1 on the track. He can. He gets 1 victory point, so he's at 18. That goes up there. And then for his last one, spend 2 guys, which he can't, to move his guy 1. All right. Now we go to the night phase. So I've got 2 5s, a 3, and a 2. So I got 2 hits. So I would get 2 guys. So I'll do a double worker and 1 guy there. He gets 4, so he would get 4 workers. I don't know if this is going to matter at all at the moment, but I'm going to do it anyways. He won that, so he gets 3 victory points. 1, 2, 3. And his guy goes up 1, which he can't, so he gets 1 more. Ships advance, nothing. Alright, so now we're at the end of the game. Oh man, I screwed up. So anytime, let me find that card here. So anytime that card came out with the double worker, there's actually special actions for where that's at. So every time that came out for the Palace of Heavenly Purity, which is here, he should have moved his envoy up 2 steps and his intrigue marker 1 step, without removing any servants. So he probably would have had a couple pieces of extra jade. Yeah, he's definitely going to win this. If he doesn't win, he should have won because of how I screwed up. But let's see, let's go to Endgame here and see what happens. End of the game. There are still servants on the Great Wall. Score it as usual without intrigue benefits. The player with the most servants on the Great Wall receives 3 victory points and move their envoy 1 step on the palace track. Alright, so he has 2 guys. He gets 3 victory points. 1, 2, 3. He goes up 1. He can't. He gets a victory point. 2. Players receive victory points for the level 3 decrees. So for each guy he has out here, which is 2, he gets 2 victory points. So he gets 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. And for here, each guy he has out over here, he gets 2 victory points, which is 2 more. So right there, he's tied up with me. Then we do victory points here. So I get 7, he gets 5. So he gets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I have 2 more than him for 7. And then the jade. I have 2 jade, which gives me 3. 1, 2, 3. And he has 4 jade, which gives him 10, which puts him at 47. So he beat me by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He beat me by 5 points. Yep. He beat me. Actually, probably should have beat me by a lot more, because he would have been further up in the intrigue track and would have been able to turn those in for jade. This was a fun, quick game. I enjoyed it. I'd like to play with people. This was so there's 3 different difficulty levels for the for Meng. This was the normal, which basically plays with all the cards. If you play easy, you essentially remove. There are two of these cards. Well, two of the cards that have the servant guy on it. You remove one of those. In fact, that had to be. No, wait a minute. Where's the? Oh, they're right back to back. There's two of those cards. You remove one, and if you play hard, he starts out with 5 cards, and he has 5 cards every hand, so he gets one more additional action. I enjoyed it. It's definitely, there's a lot of strategy that goes into this. I probably should have gone after more Jade. I thought these decrees would help me a lot more than they did. Well, these two were pretty powerful. I didn't have to really focus too much on, trying to get up this track too quickly. Yep. Overall, pretty fun game. The only thing that I'm aware of that I did not do right is the special actions for him on wherever his double servant is, which would have basically given him a lot more victory points, I think. But he beat me anyways, so. Alright. I believe that's it. Thanks for watching.